Have you told your friends that you see ghosts?
Oh, absolutely not.
Gina Rodriguez returns in Not Dead Yet.
I'm back, baby!
Who is that?
Oh, she's the obituary writer.
And Brad Garrett joins the brilliant ensemble cast.
Titan, Maverick, Titan of all Mavericks. These are all words used to describe me.
Not Dead Yet. Season premiere. Tonight, 8:30, 7:30 Central on ABC. And stream on Hulu.
This week on Horror Movie Night, we watched Dancing. No horror, no gore, no suspense, maybe like 2 deaths. I mean, barely a horror film. It's just a film about dance practice. We watched Slashdance this week on Horror Movie Night. So Scott, I would bust your chops on this, but you actually picked this for a very good reason, which is that it features 2 of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, and Glow Season 2 comes out this month.
Yeah, and I have had this, I mean, full disclosure, this has been my plan for half a year. Like, come on, guys, I fucking since they said that season 2 was greenlit, I was like, guys, I found this piece of shit on YouTube. I have not watched it yet, but I know that it's got at least one woman from Glow in it. When Glow season 2 comes out, we need to coincide releasing a Slashdance episode to coincide with Glow season 2. So that's what we did. And it's not a good movie, but it is surprisingly charming.
This is the exact opposite of every movie we've watched, in the sense of, usually for this podcast, I'll watch a movie and the whole time I'm like, this fucking sucks and is painful. And then when it's over, like, I look back and I'm like, that was actually pretty fun to watch. You know, it's like pretty bad. And it was the exact opposite. Like, I had so much fun watching it. And then shortly after, it was like, that wasn't fun at all. That was awful.
It was like your refractory period. You're like, this was a mistake. Yeah. It's not a good movie. I probably won't ever watch it again. But I got to give it props because it kind of knew what it was. It's absolutely it's the tamest of the dance slasher movies, because, you know, like I'd say that the most straightforward is Killer Workout. I would then say that the most bombastic is Death Spa.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like that's the problem, was like watching this movie so soon after watching Killer Workout and Death Spa. It's just like, so many points I was like, man, I wish I was watching Killer Workout. Like, Workout.
I didn't have that. No, Killer Workout is easily my favorite of the entire like mini subgenre that we got here. But I don't know. Like, I really did enjoy certain parts of Slashdance, because it's not like a good film in any sense of the word, but like, it's charming. Like, they just knew what they were doing. They knew what they were making. And it's got that really, not meta, but it's painful. Like, it's almost tongue in cheek. I don't know exactly how to enumerate it, but it's like, it's what Glow was. So it's like the same idea.
In IMDb, it's listed as a comedy/thriller, which I can see that they are going for the comedy here above all things. And I think that there's elements of the movie that I absolutely think are hilarious and that I really, really like. And we'll get into that very shortly. But there is just this 40-minute lull that is just dance practice.
Oh yeah. That is unacceptable in this.
Yeah. Like that kills so much momentum and goodwill that this movie had at the start.
The first 20 minutes is amazing.
Yeah. Oh no, the first 20 minutes flies. Like,
yeah, if they could have done that for an hour and 20 minutes, we would have been golden.
So let's start. So the movie kicks off with this girl Alice, arriving in what appears to be the set of Tourist Trap. And she has to audition for no one, but instead of being like concerned, she just stretches and dances.
It's so great.
And then she gets her neck slit by a saw.
I have a note about this, that they used 1 tablespoon of corn syrup for that. Like, there was no blood. None.
I wrote, so gentle, so precise.
It was perfect. I was actually very relieved that she died, because she was dancing and then he shows up and it's like a silhouette figure of a guy in a cape. And then he grabs like a saw. And in my head, I'm like, I swear to God, if this is a fake scare and this is just like a magician that's also coming to an audition, I'm going to be very upset.
I'm going to make a statement. We've made these statements before, and we've never put our money where our mouth is. We could make a better movie.
I would love to make a better movie than Slashdance.
The throat slit is so lo-fi in the way that it's just like she turns and it's like quick shot of the saw, quick shot of her already gored across the neck, and like no scream, nothing. She just falls gently to the ground. Like, I don't even think that would work. Like, I'm just throwing it out there. That saw comes into play again, and every single time I'm like, that saw wouldn't do that. Like, it's too flimsy.
It's one of those saws that kids have in their
play school.
So then we meet Tori, who's at the beach, and my second favorite character, the director / flasher, who I wrote is depressingly too good of an actor for this movie. Like, in the sense that I feel like, you guys have seen Blackula before, right?
I have not.
Okay. So one of the things that makes Blackula as infamous as it is that the actor who they got to play Blackula was like this stage actor. He was like way above the source material. And like, that's how I feel about the Flasher in this movie, is that he's so like, hello.
Yeah.
Well, here's his line. Can I read his entire line?
Yes.
I rewatched that scene twice, just that section, so I could have the absolute. I had to re-listen to it because his Shakespearean drawl is quite difficult to understand at times.
Yeah.
Rupert is the name, a poet as free as the ocean wind, and like a chiseled rock, I shall reveal my cock.
I obviously don't agree with any type of sexual harassment to women, and a girl should be able to go to a beach without someone whipping their dick out. Having said that, if a girl is to get flashed by someone, Rupert is the most elegantly charming flasher that anyone could ever encounter. Just speaking poems out of his mouth.
But like, every line he delivers, it's like he's delivering it to the back row. Like, it's so like pronounced, and like it's so good. Every time I wish he was in this movie more. He's barely in it, and it's very upsetting.
Yeah, he is the best.
So then we discover that Tori is this undercover cop, but she's known for excessive force, and apparently like nude photos of her that surfaced from.
Oh, wait, you're missing.
Well, this all is because of her arresting some of the Glow girls, and kind of roughing them up, and they said that they were too beat up to understand their rights being
they were unconscious.
Yeah.
So they say, so she's gonna buy steroids off of them. Okay, she says, so how many steroids do you, or whatever, and they're like, we got enough steroids to make you look like the Statue of Liberty. And I was thinking, really, that's what the screenwriter thought was a good example of like a strong looking woman? Because I don't think the Statue of Liberty has a whole lot of defined musculature.
I think more like chiseled from stone.
Gotcha.
But she's made out of copper.
This scene seems like it was written and directed by John Waters. And if you close your eyes during this scene, the two girls that are selling the steroids sound like Nelson's two hunchmen from The Simpsons. Like, they have that like raspy voice. I did do that. I rewound it, closed my eyes, confirmed it's the two girls from The Simpsons.
Well, and this was like,
let's crush a cop. That's also what they say.
This is basically where I think 99% of the budget came from, was just paying for the gorgeous ladies of wrestling to be in the movie, so that they could promote.
No. buddy,
Do you think they spent money on? I'm not saying
they didn't spend money on anything in this movie, much less the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
I think that's where I think that because most of this movie is shot at like their fucking black box theater and wherever the fuck this movie takes place. So I think they were like, "Hey, we've got like $200. Do you think we can get some of the Gorgeous Ladies
$200? Yeah, there you go.
Like
get Queen Kong on the phone now."
Like, the amount of money that was spent on this movie is equal to the amount of money that was spent to get 2 girls from Glow in the movie so they could put them on a poster and say, "Hey, we've got those chicks from Glow in this movie."
Okay, well, so here's I did a little research. So the first woman that is from Glow is the main character. She was Miss America. Was that what her name was?
Well, I think that was her character in the TV show, but on the actual Glow, it was Americana.
Americana, yes, thank you. Americana. And then the other one was Matilda the Hun, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so and I wanted to do a little bit more digging into the actual like mythology of Glow. Because the show really is just entertainment. There's not really a whole lot of true history to it, but I didn't get a chance to because I just got caught up watching a lot of random shit. So
if anybody is genuinely interested, there's a great hour-long documentary on Netflix called Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling that's all about how it was started, who these girls were, how they got the gig and stuff like that, which is
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's a nice quick hour watch, but it's not something you're going to like. There's some documentaries that I'll watch multiple times. That one's a one watch and you're done type flick.
Yeah, it's no Crystal Lake Memories. 6.5 hours of fucking.
Well, I was gonna say, like the big one for me is I love revisiting Room 237 because it's just such an absurd, like it's so over the top.
Wait, is that the one about
The Shining, where it's just all the
you.
people telling their theories on what The Shining, and you're just like, these people are all crazy.
It's nothing like. Wait, what was that one that you saw that was about aliens?
What the hell was it called? It was like Alien Authenticity Unveiling the Truth, and it was talking about how aliens are actually demons sent from Satan to make us question our faith. And the only way to fight an alien is to proclaim that Jesus Christ is your savior, and the alien will be like, "Sorry, bro," and go away.
and then all the old ladies were like, "Yeah, that makes absolute sense to me."
Yep, story checks out. Amen. I saw it in the theater, Brian. It was amazing.
This is why people talk about how marijuana is a gateway drug. They know marijuana's got nothing on MoviePass. It makes you do so much bad shit.
You want to say your favorite quote? Because I also wrote it down.
Oh God! Oh wait! Before we get there, so one of the Matilda the Hun when they're doing this is where the movie shines. Is when it's basically like Glow outtakes, because Matilda the Hun and the blonde woman, the bruiser ladies trying to sell the steroids, them and Tori Americana. They get into a wrestling match, and Americana's like jumping off of the chain link fence and doing these weird wrestling moves, and it's way more entertaining than wrestling actually is for me. So I loved it. And then Matilda the Hun is making pig noises, and and I thought to myself that it just can't get any better than that. It doesn't get any better than that. But we get to the end of that scene. There's a rough cut. So did we all watch this on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, because I hope that nobody paid money for this. I'll actually post the link when this drops for everybody that is interested in the group. I'll post it on our Facebook group if you want to watch it, because there's nothing except your time to waste watching this film, and it's an experience, but it's not good by any means. It's charming, but at the end of that scene, it's an actual rough cut where you hear Tori or someone say, "Okay, take it from the top," and then it cuts to them walking through through the police station or like whatever to talk to the police boss, and he goes, "That was quite a bust," and he stares at her boobs, and he says, "I believe her tits are too nice to be a cop." And then I wrote that down and then put in parentheses, "or a herpetologist."
I was going to say, but that's not the quote I was thinking of. I was thinking of when we cut outside and Tori gets kind of like, not roughed up, but like harassed maybe by a homeless man, and she beats the piss out of him.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I got beat up by a pair of tits. That?
Yeah, that one.
So I liked that scene. That is probably one of my favorite scenes. So what happens is she gets cornered in the alleyway, and two thugs.
It's not a homeless guy. Yeah, it's two homeless guys. And the guy that decides that he's going to try and assault her, he's like, hold my eyebrows.
He does what I do before I have sex, which is peel my eyebrows off to let you know it's business.
There have to be so many inside jokes for this film because that makes no sense out of context.
No.
It makes no sense in context either. But like that guy was wearing a skull cap, first of all. So he had hair. It's not like he was an alopecia victim or something and had no real eyebrows. But he comes into the scene and I think, what the fuck is going on with his eyebrows? And then he raises his eyebrows when he looks at her. When he sees that she's hot, and you can see the skull cap right by his hairline, and I'm like, what is this character? And yeah, but then he gets the crap beat out of him, and then I don't know why my next line is this, but Long Dick Saloon, is that in this movie? Is that a place where they go?
I definitely was not paying that much attention to be able to answer that question.
I paid really good attention to this movie because I was like, these lines are gold.
Basically, after roughing up these two steroid sellers, she gets put on a case.
Well, the whole subplot is that there's some other case that is more important, and the commissioner or whatever, the police chief, wants a raise or something. He's like, I can't brown bag it for the rest of my life because he wants to go out to eat lunch every day or something instead of
get manicures or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That guy is ridiculous. He is the most over-the-top character in the entire fucking movie.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it really absolutely is.
Because I have a line here where I said, God, some of the comedy in this movie bombs real hard. And it was in reference to the actress who's coming to do her audition by singing She'll Be Coming Around the Mountains.
God.
And they choke her to death, and instead of screaming, she's just like, no, this is my break. Like,
and she's like, I can do it a different way if you like. Yeah.
It's too...
It's like, oh.
And she showed her real talent, in my opinion, which is being able to speak coherently while being strangled to death.
On her own lasso. So this is the point in the movie where I'm checking out just a little bit mentally. And so I start reading the IMDb and my mind is blown. Cindy Ferda, which is Americana from Glow, she was an invisible maniac.
Yeah, she was.
With a bunch of porn stars, right?
Basically.
Man, I love Invisible Maniac. Where are we? Are we talking? Oh, is this when they... Oh, I think Long Dick Saloon is actually when she's drinking with her partner, who is the worst fucking neg ever. He's like trying to have sex with his partner, and she's like, you're married. And he's like, yeah, but I've been sleeping at the office for a couple months. Come on, let me have some ass. I mean, like, he's terrible. He's the worst. The thing is that this movie kind of has this weird undercurrent of feminism in an awesome way, but they never really are. It's like they had this idea, this kernel at the beginning of writing the script, like, let's make this be female empowerment. And then they forgot about it.
Yeah. It just wasn't a good idea.
No, it's not a good film at all. Also, another movie that comes to mind that's in the same kind of genre is Stage Fright. The original Stage Fright absolutely is in this genre. I like this movie, and I like the fact that it has a bunch of strong women in it, literally and emotionally. But I also don't understand. So every dude in this movie sucks. Like, he's terrible. But it's almost like they forgot why they were going to make every guy suck.
But it's like 1989. So it's like, okay, listen, women are not being respected. Women's rights are not being taken seriously, and it's a big joke. So we really need to voice our opinion by making a movie that's a big joke that no one will take seriously about women's rights. Perfect. Yes. Slashdance.
Yeah. Also, I really don't understand the point of the subplot where she fucks the director, because I thought that she was undercover, but she's like demurs a couple times, and then she's like banging him and having a good time.
Yeah.
And then she's like kind of surprised. Yeah, she's surprised that, spoiler alert, he's the killer.
Yeah. Which is doesn't really sync up with the first couple deaths anyway, unless he was just like hiding out in town for a month.
Yeah. But also, it's the only one that made sense because everyone else was too fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I do like the fact that the reason why he's killing people is because he was sexually abused by the dad.
Yeah.
You know, like the owner of the theater. Yeah. And it makes it a reasonable kill, you know, like him killer workout. The reasoning is pretty stupid. In Death Spa, I mean, there's no reasoning whatsoever for that whole film. So, you know, as far as motivations go, I'm pretty okay with it because I do feel bad for that character.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about, because this is where we're actually, the reason why we've jumped to the end is because this is where there's literally just 40 minutes of dance practice. But
it's insane.
But there's literally a few notes that I have written down for there. It looks like the worst musical play that has ever been made because it's just like 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4.
Yeah, and they're doing like just box steps.
Yeah.
It's all, I mean, I was in show choir and I did musicals in high school, and that shit is amateur hour.
I also wrote down the quote, "You must have woken up on the wrong side of the sugar daddy," which I thought was a pretty good line.
It's okay. It's just okay.
But my favorite line in the movie, or my favorite character in the movie, is Amos. And I want to talk about Amos,
mentally handicapped brother.
So I wrote down that he delivers every line like a jockey version of Jiminy Glick, because it starts off real high and then gets real low. So I even wrote down a quote as an example. He's like, "Shouldn't you be out there shaking your butt?" He delivers every line.
That line is sick, though. I love that line.
Yeah.
You should start off a dancey song with that audio clip.
Yeah.
Wow. So, hey, isn't Shane from Geekscape Games like a DJ?
Yep, I'm telling him. Hey, man, take this audio clip and mix it into one of your tracks.
It'll be a hot fire, as they say.
So just to get everyone caught up now, practice ends. Rupert whips his dick out in front of a girl, classic Rupert, and the cop pulls out her gun and makes him leave. So the theater director pretty much goes, "Hey, where's the town pervert that's supposed to be directing this show? I can't find him. You know what I'll do? I'll put my extremely mentally disabled brother in charge because nothing can go wrong there."
He's eating goldfish and shit.
I love the fact that it's such an obvious fake gold, like a goldfish candy. It looked like a circus peanut that they morphed into a goldfish. And then it's like such an obvious fake when it's the close up. And then his brother's like, Why are you eating fake goldfish in front of the girls? And then he's like, "It's real." And then they're like, "Ugh." And then he belches and he's like, "Yeah."
And now there's about 10 to 15 minutes of POV running shots.
Yeah.
A lot of POV running shots in this movie.
Yeah. And also we've got so much like LA visitor bureau scenes because it's just shots of downtown LA in 1989, and she's walking around buying clothes, and it's great. It is just fantastically stupid movie. I have this thing that I wrote down about Tori as a person in this film, and I feel like this could be said for so many women in the schlocky movies that we watched from the late 80s. I said Tori is 50% human female and then 50% hairspray and rouge. Because like she's not a person. She's a walking cosmetic commercial. It's insane.
Because there isn't much going on for about 40 minutes in this movie. Let's jump to the end. The killers.
Well, let's get to Amos's death because it is very convenient that the killer's real knife looked exactly like the prop knife. And then, do you want to explain how Amos died? Because it's really
so incredibly Shakespearean.
Yeah.
He tried to pretend that he was killing himself, and then he was really killing himself by mistake.
Yeah. So
also,
that's
like,
that.
I don't think stabbing yourself in the side is going to be like, he's dead, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think that any of these things would, as I've said, except for maybe the choking the Southern girl, everything else, it's like, yeah, she'd probably have a nasty cut from you lightly touching the saw across her neck. But, like, she wasn't going to die right then and there immediately. So they reveal Logan as the killer, right? And as Scott pointed out, he was tortured and you know, had a really bad time, sexually abused in the theater. So then Tori, who just won like the golden high heels for her excellent work, throws the high heel at his head. It's
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Yeah, it's awfully cut together. Like, it is horrendous how this cut is. And then she's being chased, and there's a scene where she tips over the director's chair, and it's like, yeah, does nothing to slow this guy down. Like, I almost wish that it had done the Wet Hot American Summer bit where he's just standing there like, oh no, like there's a chair in my way.
I do like how the costume for the killer is like a cross between the Zodiac Killer and the Gimp from Pulp Fiction, just kind of mashed into one. It is the shittiest costume I've ever seen.
It's basically like it's just one step away from a paper bag over it. But then the saw comes back into play, and somehow Tori is able to murder a man with a single hit of a flimsy-ass table saw to the face.
Yeah. Yeah. But, like, it scratches his face. He's like, no, my beautiful face. And then he just dies. There's no blood. Yeah, this is the most bloodless film we've ever watched. And, I mean, Invisible Maniac, I feel like, was light on actual gore as well.
But at least it upped it a little bit with the effects for a dude being choked to death by a sandwich.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not a fantastic film, because it sure as fuck is.
But that's what I mean. Like, there was at least enough budget that they could build a mechanism to make to make the dude's throat expand and pop as he was being choked to death with a sandwich. They have no budget for anything in Slashdance.
This is like a high schooler trying to make a film kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. The editor was so excited at the death scene when they're like, all right, so let's see her kill the killer. He's like, watch this. I put it in slow motion. And then it's just the...
There actually is that sound.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that this is such an odd soundtrack. There are like some needle drops for actual music, but there's not a whole lot of ambient soundscaping. And there's a lot of awkward silences between people's lines. I don't know. It's a very cheap film. It's not good, but I definitely enjoyed everything except for all of the dance rehearsal. Yeah. I lived that shit in high school. I don't need to relive that shit.
Hey guys, just interrupting the show real quick. Just give me a minute of your time to let you know that if you go on the patreon.com/HMN podcast, we are going to be dropping the bonus episode for the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension later on this month. And if you donate, you can already get access to the Wicker Man bonus episode that we did with Nicolas Cage. But there's one other thing I wanted to quickly plug. June 23rd, we will be doing our Twitch stream. So make sure that you are double checking and hopping on there and getting ready to watch 12 hours worth of films with us. We're going to be talking about movies like we're going to be watching Event Horizon. We're going to be watching Final Destination. We're going to be watching Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and a bunch of other ones. It's going to be a really, really fun time. So I hope you guys are able to tune in for that. But anyway, back to the show. All right, well, what did you guys watch this week? I'll start. I will be talking about something that I saw next week as well, but in preparation of that, I watched Thor Ragnarok.
Yes!
Which was really, really fun. I had a blast watching Thor Ragnarok. I think that the first Thor movie is strictly okay, and the second one is arguably the worst movie in the entire MCU.
There's no arguing about that. It is the worst. It is unwatchably bad.
But then, like, Thor Ragnarok was just a good, fun time, and I think that taking Thor and applying a little bit more of the Guardians of the Galaxy sense of humor is exactly what that character needs. Because because
Helmsworth is just really comedically good.
Yeah, he's very funny. But I also think that a big element of it is that Thor. So most people don't like to admit this, but like if we're being very sincere, most of the Avengers are, by most comic terms, B and C level comics as far as the general populace is.
That's why they got the rights for them, because they were cheap.
Yeah, so like Thor, the problem with Thor is that they were playing Thor exactly how he is in the comics. And guess what? It's very hard to find someone that enjoys reading a Thor comic.
Yeah, it's not 1974 anymore.
Yeah, so like kind of going in the direction where he's almost a parody of the comic book character, where he's so strong and like impossible to beat that it's like he's comedically just blank to all of it, I think is the right direction. And based on the movie that I will talk about next week, it seems like they're keeping in that direction for Thor. And I think that it might actually genuinely make me excited to see Thor movies. If that's
I'm so stoked to see another Thor movie now. Like, and you couldn't have told me that. After the original Thor, no, after Avengers, because his first was his. Did they do Thor before Avengers?
The first Thor was right before Avengers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't even get into the first Thor movie, and it has my dude Phil Coulson in it, so it's really hard for me to say that how much I disliked the Thor concept and mythos, but goddamn, they knocked it out of the park. And I think I know what you're going to talk about next week, and I will just verbally fillet it then too. But yeah, like, well, first of all, the direction of Thor Ragnarok is fantastic, and the comedic timing is great. It also, I mean, Cate Blanchett is amazing in that movie. Everything about that movie just rules.
Yeah, no, it
just looks like a comic book.
The only thing I didn't like about the movie, there's only two things. I felt that Doctor Strange cameo was very forced, and I don't watch a lot of Marvel movies or follow the comics, so maybe I'm yeah, maybe I don't have room to talk, but I didn't really get why the Hulk was mentally retarded for his first 45 minutes in the movie.
So actually, there was something. So I had been curious about that too, and I listened to an episode of Geekscape that was after I watched
with Ian.
Yeah, with Ian, and he actually points out that the whole mythos of the Hulk is that as the films go on, the Hulk is basically a child when you first see him, and it's over the years of him like growing up. So like in Thor Ragnarok, Hulk is essentially the equivalency of a very big 5-year-old.
Okay.
And I was like, that makes sense.
And Ragnarok, he's 5? It seems like you would be like more. I was thinking more like 12 personally, but I believe it.
But anyway, that's all I've got. How about one of you guys go?
I'll go. I've got two documentaries. Yeah. So last night, which will have been a couple weeks by the time this comes out, but last night Megan and I went to the opening night for RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary, and it was so fucking perfect.
I heard it was so great. Good. I heard it was awesome.
It is. It's so charming and touching, and it was a packed house at this small art house style theater here in Akron called the Nightlight. Fantastic place. And hopefully we will be able to do some live stuff there someday. That's just on my long list of things to do for the podcast. But anyway, it was a full room, and we were laughing at the great parts, and like Megan cried a little bit because it's very touching. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg is just an amazing person. She's so incredibly driven, and she's first generation American, and she's incredibly smart. And she's 84 or something like that. And she reminded me of my grandmother before she passed. Like she just is very sweet and stern and soft spoken, but also like way more intelligent than my grandma was. Sorry, grandma up in heaven, but like Ruth Bader Ginsburg is like cream of the crop. All right, such a great film. I would see it again. Maybe not today, but I'd see it again with Megan, because Megan's favorite type of movie is a documentary. So, I'd absolutely watch that with her. But I also wanted to mention that I finally watched Best Worst Movie, which is a really great documentary as well, in a completely opposite way. It's for anybody that doesn't know, and I would assume that 99% of the people listening to this would know, that it's about Troll 2, the making of Troll 2. It was made and kind of directed by the guy that played the kid in it, and it mostly follows the I can't remember the dad's name in real life. George Hardy, thank you. And it was very interesting. Man, fuck the directors. They suck so bad. Like, I knew they sucked, but goddamn, they do not make Italian people look like good people. If we're going to make value generalizations about entire countries. But the one thing I will say is that I have noticed via listening to a lot of Scored to Death, which is, I've mentioned it before on here. I love that podcast. Blake is just such a nice guy. But between that and a lot of documentaries that I've been watching, because I'm still trying to burn my way through Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories, and I get like 20 minutes in each before I'm like over it for the day. I can get through about one movie that they talk about in the franchise, and I'm working from home, and I'll just kind of say, okay, I can't give this any attention. It's just not very interesting. I don't know if it's the pacing or what, but in any case, so many people. It seems to me that so many people that worked on these seminal slasher flicks and were involved in the industry in, B movies, horror movies in the 80s, things like that, they don't give a shit about the community, when it's so weird and off-putting for me. Like, there are directors that are not directors, there are composers rather, that are just, they just think that it's a job. They don't like horror conventions. They don't like horror movies. They just kind of fell into it. George Hardy hated going to a horror convention. He was like, these people are sick. And I met PJ Souls 2 months ago at Cinema Wasteland in Cleveland, and super sweet woman, but doesn't like horror movies. It seems to be all the people that did the movies that we love cannot stand the movies that we love. And it's so weird, because when you listen to something like Shockwaves, where they're interviewing people that are doing movies now, all the writers, directors, and composers that almost, it seems like, there's this huge crop of people that are making films for us now that grew up on the films that we love, and they are part of the horror community. And it's so much different. It feels so much more sincere. Also, because, we were talking a couple weeks ago how Mayhem was the director had to work a desk job or something while he was doing that on weekends or something ridiculous. So, it's a labor of love more so now than it ever has been, because there's less money in movies, I guess. But, as a guy that wants to compose horror scores myself, I'm so much more endeared to people that work in the industry that give a shit about our community and what we love, instead of that are just there because they need a job and they're actors,
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Okay, so this week, I didn't really get a chance to watch too much. So I did watch Summer of Sam, which I wish that wasn't the only. Was that
97?
Yeah. 98? I wish that wasn't the only movie I watched. Because not that it was bad, but it was like a movie. It's like not, it's like not worth bringing up on the podcast. Like, what did you watch? It was like Summer of Sam. And it's like, what'd you think? It's like talking to your wife at the dinner table, where it's like, how was your day? It was okay. It's not really, I liked it. That's all I can say. I know people don't like it as far as a Spike Lee joint, but I thought it was good enough. It was entertaining. I wouldn't watch it again, but I didn't think it was bad by any means.
All right, well, that was Slashdance.
What a fucking downer.
That was Slashdance from 1989.
But actually, that is the perfect way to end this movie because it's like, you know.
But it was just such a white tone. It was just like, yeah, it's been a really tough week. I'm really sad, and I'm really losing hope. All right, thanks, Brian. So come on next week.
So that was picked by Scott. Next week's movie. Oh shit! Guess what, guys? We're 150 years old, episode-wise. Next week, and we've got a special guest. We're going to be talking about a movie that we've been talking about for 150 episodes, but we're actually going to talk about the movie instead of make random references to the film and maybe some skits about the film. So tune in for that. But don't forget that you can always contact us at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our website at hmnpodcast.com. Give us some reviews and subscribe on iTunes and likes and all that. Apparently it helps with visibility. I don't know. Google Play. Yeah, we're on Google Play now. Don't forget that just a week away, holy shit, it's just a week away. Just a week away, we will be doing our live Twitch stream for 12 fucking hours. So,
and Matt is making shit up that he's like shocked by all this because first of all, it's his plan from like before we were even Reddit or back when we were Reddit Horror Club that he wanted to do these marathon watches. And then he also really can't complain because I talked him out of doing a 24-hour marathon. So you're welcome.
Yeah. So I will say the following things, though, because we know that these movies have all been announced now. We're going to be talking about Beetlejuice, Final Destination, Event Horizon, The Faculty, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Scream 2, and Nightmare on Elm Street. Holy shit, that is a great lineup. You know that you want to join us for this. You know that we're going to be having a blast. Who knows? We're trying to figure out some things. We're recording this before we know 100%. But by the time this is out, we'll know what's going on. But it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a party on Twitch. You're going to want to be a part of it. You're going to want to tell your friends about it. You're going to want to pull it up on your TV and have friends over drinking and eating pizza and laughing as we're all watching these movies together. Let's make this the biggest community celebration that we can, because Horror Movie Night is all about the community. It's all about people getting together and having fun. And as much as we shit on these movies, we're celebrating them. So let's do it. Can't wait. 150 episodes next week. Tune in. Yeah!
And who's giving it to you?
We are!
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.